So in this video, we're going to start off right at the beginning. So the first thing that you need to do is get everything collected. So you can do that by going to the Launchpad here. Now you can connect your Google My Business. You can also connect Facebook for all of your messaging. So that will, as soon as you connect to Facebook, it will connect with Facebook and Instagram. You can also collect your web chat widget. Also, you can connect Stripe and also PayPal, which we'll go through in a moment. And you can also add other team members. If you've got anyone else working with you, any developers or anything like that, they can also be added, and we'll go through that in a moment. So let's start off first of all by connecting Facebook. Now you can also connect to WordPress. If you'd like to use WordPress, you can connect to the WordPress, or you can obviously use the website capabilities of the Elite Business Suite. Or if you're already hosting your WordPress site, you can continue to host it over there. So now in terms of adding team members, it's very easy to do that. All you need to do is to select add, and you can add their emails in here and send them an invite. I'm just going to show another method of adding team members here by going to settings. Now, in the settings, you can, first of all, you've got the business profile here where you can fill in all of the information regarding the business. You can put in the business email here, the legal business name, all of the address details, many of the business information. You can also set your call and voicemail settings here. You can upload a call and voicemail that you'd like to use. And there's also some other features on here that you can get ready. Also for missed call text back, you can enable that here, and you can put what the text message will be. So if anybody calls and you missed their call, then it will send this text message here. You can also test that by putting in your phone number and then sending a test. And you can save that missed call text setting. Now, let's move on to adding a staff member. So adding a staff member is really easy. You go into here to My Staff. You add an employee. You start off by going to user information. You can add a logo for that individual. You put in their first name, last name, email address, a phone number, and then setting a password. Once you've got that, you can also add an email signature here for that individual. And then you can also set the user permissions. So these are all the different user permissions. These are all the different areas of the software that they can have access to. You can set these accordingly. You can also set the user role. So either as a user or an admin. You just need to note that if you put them as an admin, they will have the same user permissions as yourself. So usually it's advised for anyone, unless they are an admin, to keep them as a user. You can also set call and voicemail settings for that individual. You can select a number for them, and you can upload a separate voicemail for them. User availability, if you'd like to set their availability for their calendars, you can also connect their Zoom or their Google Meet or their phone, wherever their meeting locations are. And you can select the time zone and the available hours as well, or available days and hours. By default, it will put all days and all times available, unless you select certain times available. Finally, we've got the user calendar configuration. So once they've been connected, they just need to sync their Google Calendar, and then it will automatically sync that. Okay, in this video, we're going to do a full overview of all of the settings, starting with the business profile. So in the business profile, this is where you fill in all of the business information. So you can put in the email address, the phone number, the website. You can also fill in all of the details with respect to the address, and also other information here, business information. You can also set the call and voicemail settings, so you can upload a specific voicemail. You can also, here there's some general settings, which are self-explanatory here. Nothing too much. And then also right at the bottom here, this is quite important, missed call text back. You can enable missed call text back. So if you miss a call, or if anybody calls them and you don't pick up, then they'll be sent a text message. And you can set the text message however you like here. Now this, which we'll talk about later, is a custom value. So what that means is a custom value is something that you can set. So you can put the custom value, and then if you ever need to change that custom value, you can, and it will apply it to anywhere where you've put that custom value. So that can be very handy, especially when it comes to email, when it comes to SMS, other things like that. You, instead of putting the actual link or putting in whatever the information is, you create a custom value. I mean, you can just update that custom value, and you will update it anywhere where that custom value is. Next, we've got the pipelines. Now, the pipelines, we'll talk about that later. So pipelines is under opportunities. This is where you set your sales pipeline. We'll talk about that in a further lesson. Next, we've got the calendars. So this is where you can set all of your calendars. You can create calendars here, and you can then assign those calendars, etc. We'll talk about calendars in more detail when we get there. Phone numbers. So this is where you can purchase a phone number. Now, there are a few key things when it comes to purchasing a phone number, but we'll just mention a few things here. So you can add a phone number here, and you can select which country you'd like that phone number to be from, and just make a note here that one of the capabilities. So you will see here what the capabilities of that phone number is. So if you need a phone number that can send SMS and voice call, make sure to select that. Also, you need to create a regulatory bundle here. There's information here about this. So you just need to create a regulatory bundle for the country that you are operating in. This is to allow the phone number to actually work. So this is where your reputation management aspect is where you can basically set the review requests that go out by email and by SMS. The other key settings, you've got your custom fields. So this is where you can organize all of the fields for your contacts, which we'll talk about later on when we get into details about the contacts. But this is where you'll find them, and you can set different fields. So when we say field, just for those of you who are unaware of field, this could mean any type of contact information. So a name, email, phone number, these are all fields, and you can generate custom fields as well. The good thing as well is you can organize them into folders, so depending on different types of contact fields, especially when you start creating surveys and you're capturing different contact information. You can organize that contact information into different folders. Next, we've got custom values, which we spoke about. We'll go into further detail about custom values later on. But the good thing about custom values is there's certain things which you don't have to keep updating. So especially this is very useful for links. For instance, instead of having to put the link into an email, you just put a custom value, and then you can update that custom value. Or you can use what's called a trigger link, which we'll talk about later on. But custom values can be used anywhere, not just email. They can be used in the funnels, in the website, any of the messages, etc. All of your media will be stored in here. So anything you upload, any images, any videos, whatever would be uploaded here. You can also search for images and find different images using these two, either from Altsplash or from Pixabay. You can find images and use them on the website or in the emails or wherever you need to use them. You can also add a URL redirect if you need that. Integration. So this is where you can integrate all of the main platforms. So you can integrate your Google account here. So this will sync your Gmail account with Elite Business Suite, and also will connect the Google My Business. Obviously, you can connect your Facebook and Instagram for messaging. You can connect the TikTok account. If you're using Shopify, you can connect Shopify. Stripe as well, you can connect it. You can also connect Slack. There's other integrations you can do, which we'll talk about when we get to those specific integrations. So the first time you go on there, you'll see this message, and it's very important that to increase your email deliverability, that you have your own dedicated domain. So once you've connected your domain, you'll be able to set it as a domain for your email as well. There's also a few settings here once you've set that up in terms of there's a forwarding address and what the reply address is. Once you start sending out, you can actually see all of your email analytics here. Right, in this video, we're going to do a very quick bird's eye view of the entire Elite Business Suite software. So you've got initially the Launchpad. Launchpad just allows you to connect your main things. So Launchpad allows you to connect to the main things. Then you've got the dashboard. The dashboard will have all of the stats and the metrics. Once you start bringing in data, next area we've got the communication. So this is where all of your messages will come into the communication. Once you've collected Facebook, you'll be able to see all of your Facebook DMs, Instagram DMs. You'll be able to see text messages, emails, any type of communication will all come into this communication tab. And then you can follow up with all of your customers here on the communication tab. We'll go into detail about that later on. Next, you've got the calendars. So this is where you'll be able to see all of your calendars, and you'll be able to see who's booked in and who has an appointment booked and what the calendars look like. You can change the views, etc. Next, we have contacts. So this is where all of your contacts will come in. Then you've got the opportunities. This is where we'll create the pipelines. Then we've got the payments. So this is where you've got the invoices, where you can create invoices. You can integrate the payment gateways, and you can create the products and see all of the transactions and the subscriptions and orders. And the marketing, you've got the social planner. So this is where you can connect all of your social media platforms and then plan out all of your social media posts. You can also create here your email campaigns and your email templates. And these are the trigger links. So the trigger links, these are the links that can be used inside of the emails and the rest of it. And the main purpose of the trigger links is mainly for monitoring and also for ease of having a link there. Then you've got the affiliate manager here, where you can create affiliate campaigns and sell your products using affiliates. Next, we've got automation. So this is where all your workflows, this is where you can do all of the complicated stuff, all of the automated stuff that's going to help you scale. So this is probably the most powerful area of Elite Business Suite platform is the automations. Once you've learned and know how to use automations, it can be very powerful for the business. Next, we've got the sites. So the sites, this is where you have your funnels, your websites. You can also have the blogs. If you're going to transfer your website to the WordPress hosting, you can also have your WordPress hosting here. And you can also have your forms and surveys and chat widget. So this is all under sites. Next, we've got memberships. So this is where you can create courses. You can create digital products that you can then sell to your customers. Or if you're providing a particular service, you might have a follow-up or an add-on. Or if you're selling a service, you can provide further assistance through tutorials or through some sort of guidance or follow-on information using the memberships area. You can have digital products, you can have courses, you can have communities and groups as well. And the groups, they work very similar to Slack, so it has very similar capabilities to Slack. On the reputation, this is where you'll be able to see the dashboard of everything in terms of reviews. Once you've connected to Google My Business, you'll be able to see that and also request any reviews and also manage all of your listings across the internet. Finally, we've got the reporting. So you can also collect Google ads and Facebook ads, and you can see everything broken down here on your Elite Business dashboard. You can also see other key metrics, core reporting, agent reporting, product reporting, even conversion reporting and the rest of it. So all of your metrics are housed in here. Now, everything we've spoken about, we will go into a lot more detail about it in the following modules. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go through communication. So the communication, this is where all of the conversations on all of the different platforms, from email to SMS to Facebook, Instagram, all of it will come here. And you have the shared inbox here. Now, on this inbox, you'll see all of your unread messages here. You can also, any messages that are completed here, you can select a certain action, mark as read, mark as unread, starred, unstarred. Anything that's starred will be kept here under starred, and in all will obviously show you all of the messages or all of the communication that's happening with your leads and customers. Now, in the Conversations tab, you can see all of the previous conversations that you've had or previous interactions, any emails, SMS, messages that you've had. You can send an email to that customer or client. You can set the subject, you can put in the message. You've got all of the facilities as if you were using any popular email provider like Gmail and the rest of it. So you can attach files, you can add images, you can add links, etc. You can even request payment. So you can add a product and then you can copy that link and then it will send it as a payment request, as an invoice. There's also here any information, so any of the fields, you can use any of the fields of the customer. If you need to send them anything in particular, you can find all of that here. And you can send an SMS. If there's been an interaction via Facebook, you'll be able to see here Facebook message. If there's been interaction by email, or if we've captured their email address, email will be there. So it will basically show you here whatever is available. Now, the good thing as well is you can see all of the information about that customer, any tags that they have, where they've come from, etc. And you can also book an appointment. If you need to book an appointment, create a new opportunity. So, for instance, if you create an opportunity here, you can then, it will automatically take their name as the opportunity. You can select the pipeline that you'd like to put them on, the stage, etc. So you can actually add them in as an opportunity. Now, all of this can also be done automatically using automation, which we'll talk about in the automation section. You can also mark as read, mark as starred here, and you can also delete the conversation that's happened there. If you'd like to, you can also message contact by clicking create message there, selecting the contact, just typing in their name, and that contact will come up. When you can select the contact, it will give you their name, the email and phone number, and then you can get into contact with them. If you'd like to have certain template responses that you can then use when you're communicating, you can set up template responses here. Text or email templates are very easily here. So it allows you here to put the subject, to put a template email. This is very useful if, for instance, you've got a certain response that keeps recurring. You can just save a template and then use that template response. Finally, in communication, we've got the trigger links. Trigger links are also in the marketing area as well. And all they are is a link that you can add in, like very specific links. So if you have a recurring type of link that you send people to, if you send people to a certain checkout, or you send people to a registration page or a sales page, and you know what, I all the time have to find where is that sales page or where's that checkout page or whatever it might be, you can then create the trigger link here. You name it, for instance, product 1 checkout page, and you put the URL in here and then save that. And then whenever you need to use that, you can then find it, make trigger links. So that can be very useful there and save you time. Now we're inside of the calendars. So you can create a calendar here by clicking on create a calendar. And there are 4 different scheduling types. First calendar is a simple calendar. So this could be used for physical events or meetings, as it's explained there. Usually you'd use this if it's just a general meeting and there's no specific assigned person to it. Anybody could be assigned. So the other type of calendar you have is the round robin calendar. The round robin calendar is basically, it will assign it to whoever you put down of the team members. So like as an example here, you can select different team members to be part of this calendar. So this could be a a support calendar. It could be a calendar that is managed by multiple people, multiple salespeople, for instance, if it's a sales call or something like that. You can set the different settings here for the calendar, the duration, the tilings. You can also accept payments if you'd like to accept payments for a meeting. If it's, for instance, like a setup meeting or a setup event, you can accept payments there and there before the booking happens. The other calendar I wanted to just mention is the class booking. So this is where you can select, first of all, multiple people can be part of that class. So this is if it's, for instance, it could be any type of class, whether it's physical or digital. You can basically use the class calendar. Then you've also got the collective one where you can have multiple team members on that call at the same time, or multiple team members on that booking. Once you've selected the calendar, so let's say as an example, we're going to create a calendar for a support call. We select the team members, add a custom URL here, support call. We set the meeting duration and the timings for that. Now, once we hit confirm, we can hit on the advanced settings. We click on the advanced settings, you will bring up all of the settings here. A couple of things to bear in mind. You can set the priority of the calendar here, and you can also set where the meeting will take place. So if they get sent a Google Meet link or a Zoom link, or is there a phone number or an address they need to go to, you can set all of that depending on what type of meeting it is or appointment it is. Now here you can select the availability, the days and times. You can set if it's a recurring meeting or if it's a one-time meeting. And then you can also set the interval of that meeting. You can also set a minimum scheduling notice. So if you'd like you to have a notice before the appointment is booked. And you can also set a date range or when the appointment can be made. Just a general point here, if you are doing sales calls, it's always best to set the date range as 3 to 5 days maximum. So basically you're getting somebody to book a call within the next 3 to 5 days. The reason for that is obviously they're going to be a lot warmer and a lot more receptive, and probably the show operator is going to be higher. So you always want to set the date range to be as minimum as possible. You can also set a maximum bookings per day, and you can set a buffer time between each appointment. If you want to take payments, you can do that here. You can set a form that you can use. So you can either set it as a default form, so it will just capture the first name, last name, email, phone, or you can create any other type of form and just collect it to the calendar. So we'll go through forms later on, but once you've created a form, you can then just collect it straight into the calendar here. We'll select if you want a consent checkbox or not, and what would happen in the confirmation page. You can either just have a default thank you message, thank you for booking the appointment, or you can redirect them to a URL. You can also put your Facebook Pixel ID for any monitoring of bookings. And if you wanted to accept payments, you can do here. You can set the amount, and you can also test it or set it to live there. And these are just some final stuff here, which is quite self-explanatory. So you can also send a notification. So this is just a standard notification that they would get, that would be sent straight to their email, where it would say the booking has been confirmed. You can also allow Google Calendar to send an invitation. In the customizations, you can have a cover image. If you wanted to do some custom coding to change the layout and the look and the feel of the calendar, you can do so here by putting in some custom code. But the next area is contacts, and contacts is very important. This is where all of your contact information is going to be stored. Now, first of all, you can import any contacts here from a CSV file. You can upload a file here. Obviously, when you are uploading a file, make sure to have the headings, and make sure to name the headings to the names of the fields. And then you can upload it, and then you can map it to the fields. Obviously, if you name it according to the actual fields, you'll make the mapping a lot faster. Once you've uploaded, you can also set certain tags for that specific upload, And you can also put them into a list or a smart list here. And like we have here, we've got a smart list for real estate. A smart list here for real estate. And you can also do certain bulk actions on this list, for instance. So we can select all 100 records. We can add them to one of the pipelines. So we can do a pipeline change here. We can select a certain pipeline from the pipeline opportunities. We can then move them to a different stage. And we can either add them all or update them. We can also add them to an automation campaign, to a workflow. We can send them an SMS, all 100 records. We can send them an email. We can add a tag. We can remove a tag. We can also delete them. We can send a review request for Google. And we can also export the contacts if we wanted to. There is also the option to merge contacts. So if you've got two contacts that are the same, you can merge those two contacts and merge their information. On the columns here, if you wanted to see other key pieces of information, you can do so by clicking on columns, and you can select any other fields. So you can see other fields, other pieces of information, all in an easy to see fashion like so. You can select the number of records on each page, and then you can sift through them like that. Now, when you go into a contact, you've got the full 360 view of everything about that contact. You can see all of the activities that contact did. So anything in terms of if they visited the website, which pages they visited, if they submitted any forms, if they contacted you via chat, all of the steps and the times and everything that they've done. So that gives you full context into that contact. You can also see where the first attribution is, where they've come from initially, and did they come from Google Ads, did they come from Facebook, etc. You can see all of that. You can also here see all of the conversations that have happened, any emails, messages, text messages that have happened. You can also send an email, send an SMS, as we mentioned last time. Here you can see all of the contact information. So all of the contact fields you can see here. You can hide the empty fields, so you can just see the ones that have been filled in. And depending on what type of fields you've created, you can then see all of the fields accordingly. Here you've got the tags, so you can see the tags, and you can add other tags or remove tags. And these tags also can give you some context into what's been happening. You can also see if they're part of any pipelines. You can see what stage of the pipeline they're in. And if they're inside of any campaigns or workflows, you can see the past ones that they've gone through, any past automations they've gone through, and any current automations they've gone through. This level of detail and context really helps with customer support and even understanding who your customers are and how they became a customer, what steps they took, how did they move to become a customer, etc. Also see if they're a customer here and if they have any offers. So for instance, this particular contact is actually a customer and they have a membership. So you can see here, this is their membership. They will show you which courses or products under that membership they have. You can also change their password if you want to change their password to get inside. The other thing is you can assign tasks. So let's say you wanted to assign a certain task to follow up with this customer in the future, or assign it to another user. You can assign a task here, follow up. You can put a description here, requires some additional support. And you can assign it to one of your team members, for instance, to another team member, and you can save that as a task. So they will then, the team member will then be able to see that as a task. You can even set a due date. When does it need to be done, or when does a follow-up need to be done by? You can also add notes in. So let's say, you've had a call with this person, you've had a sales call, and you want to just add some notes about that individual. You can add some notes here about how the conversation went. You can add the note in and save that. That also gives context for anybody else. If they're going to be following up anybody else from a team, they'll be able to see any previous notes that you've had and what the previous conversations have been. If you can also set an appointment, so you can actually book an appointment there and then. So if you're on the phone with somebody and you want to set another follow-up phone call, you can also do that. And you can select the calendar and then select the title is, I select a team member, and you can then also select a time directly. And finally, you can add documents as well. So if you wanted to add any specific documents, depending on what type of business you're running, if you're saving a certain contract or CV or whatever it might be, depending on the type of business you're operating. So you can see you can add documents here straight into this contact, and it will all be saved in this 360 view. If it's a company account, so if this contact is part of a company, you can put all of the company information here. You can also assign this contact to one of your team members, and you can also call them directly here as well. Honestly, once you've connected your phone number. Okay, the next section we're going to talk about opportunities. So this is where you can set all of your sales pipelines. So you can create any sales pipeline. Now, the good thing about a sales pipeline is, for those of you who may not be familiar with a sales pipeline, is you can basically set all of the stages of the customer journey. And what you can do is you can put, or you can either automatically put your customers on that journey. And what that does is it allows you to have a visual representation of where your customers are at, or your leads, where they're at in terms of their customer journey. And then you can follow up with them, follow up with your team, and know exactly where you are and how you're dealing with potential clients. So let's create a pipeline here. Let's create a sales pipeline. Let's say, for instance, you are a estate agent. Okay, we'll call it estate agent sales pipeline. And here we'll define the stages. For instance, within a estate agent, you're going to have two sides. You've got two types of customers. You've the buyers and you've got the sellers. So you might have two separate pipelines for each. So let's say here we're going to do a pipeline for the buyers. So initially you'll have the first stage will be a lead. So somebody, they go onto your website and they're interested in. Okay, so then let's say the next stage is finance approved. The stage is deposit paid, and then let's say purchase completion. Now, obviously, you can define this however you like, depending on your industry, depending on how you define the terminologies, etc. So you can define it however you like. And then this basically allows you to then see these stages in the pipeline. You can also skip a stage if you don't want to. If a certain stage is not part of the pipeline, you can skip it if you don't want to see it in the stats. And then you can save that, and then that will show up as a pipeline. Now, as you can see here, we've got the pipeline set there, and you can set multiple different pipelines. So here, this is a buyer's pipeline for an estate agent. You can have a seller's pipeline as well, a separate pipeline for your other type of customer. You can also have pipelines for different processes or different customer journeys. And once you've got the pipeline sorted out here, you can create an opportunity here. So you can select from your contacts. It will pull up their information. You can also put an opportunity value. So for instance, if in the estate agent example, this is a £200,000 property, you can put the value here as 200,000. Right? You can assign one of the team members. You can put a source of where did this opportunity come from. Now, all of this can also be automatically done using the automations, but we're just showing you the manual way. If you ever need to put a manual opportunity in, you can do so here, and then you can create that opportunity there. Now, once you have your opportunities here, you can then move them across the pipeline. You can then also just see some general information here. You can see any of the tags, any notes. You can add notes. You can add tasks. You can add an appointment. You can call them directly. You can send them. You can view the conversations and send them an email or text message or any other medium of communicating with them. And then you can move them across the pipeline. Now, if, for instance, they're lost, you can then just click here lost or abandoned, or if they've converted them, they're one, you can put them as one. You can also move people automatically through these stages using automation, which we'll go through in that automation section. Okay, now in the payments section, there are two main ways in which you can collect payments, either using the invoicing method or using a checkout page. So in terms of using the invoice method, this is very simple. It can be done here. So you go into invoices and you can create a template. So if you've got a recurring template here, you can create a recurring template, or you can just create a standard template here. So these two options are available. Now, when you create the invoice here, it will pull up all of the information. Now, you can change any of this information, the address, and obviously this is all through your business profile. Here you can select the client, so you can search from the clients. You can select from any of, you can select your client here. Okay, so then it will pull up their information here. You can select the country, and you can select a product. Now, you can create a new product, or if you have an existing product that you've already created, which we'll go through how to do that in a moment. You can also select from here, and you can select a certain price if there's multiple pricing options. So you can create here the product. You can call it whatever the product name is. Let's say it's an invoice for a deposit. You can select if it's a physical, digital good, or a service. And you can set different pricing. So you can have a certain pricing here. You can call it the 5 clear deposit, let's say, and you can then set the price. You can change the currency, which we'll talk about in a moment. You can change the currency to whichever currency based on your business, and you can have that item here. And then now that's ready to send. You can also put any message. You can attach a message to that invoice, and then all you do is just click send, and that will send the invoice. You can send it by email or by text message. This section, we're going to go through the sites, part of the website. And site is obviously a very important part, or one of the most important parts of the business. This is the first interaction point with your potential client or customer. And we're going to go into details on how to set this up and to maximize the potential and the capabilities of the Elite Business Suite. So first of all, we'll just briefly mention the difference between these different areas here. So first of all, you have follows. Now, follows is just a series of web pages. So as an example, let's have a look here at an example funnel. So you have the funnel steps here. Let's say you had a home page, then an appointment page, and then a thank you page. So that's just a simple funnel here. In the website section, this is where you can have your entire website on there. So you can have multiple pages. Now you can have your whole website on the funnel. It's completely up to you. Some people like to separate funnels and their main website. So it's completely up to you how you want to manage that. But as an example, just to show you how that is, so this is for a business coaching website. They've got their main pages here, like the home page, about, services, contacts, course. Then you might have your funnels on your funnels page. So you might have, let's say, a webinar funnel for if it's a coaching business. So you'll have your webinar funnel on your funnels. Next, we've got blogs. Now, blogs, you can also just have web pages as blogs, or you can use the actual blogs system here, similar to how WordPress sort of has its blog section. You can create blogs here, and you can have people editing those blogs, and it's more purpose built for blogging. If you move to WordPress hosting, you can do that here. In terms of the setup, now we're just going to go through a few key setup. So the first thing you want to do is connect your domain, right? So that's really important that you connect your domain. So this would be the client portal. So this is for anybody who uses for the memberships. If anybody wants to access your memberships, they would access it using this URL. So usually you'd have something like app.whateveryourdomain name is.com, and you just need to update your DNS records. We'll go through that in a moment once we do the domain setup. Next, you've got forms. Forms are usually just a simple one-page form that goes on your website, and it can be used anywhere across the suite. So you can use it in the calendar, you can use it on your funnel page, you can use it on a website page, it can be on a pop-up when somebody clicks a button, so it can be used anywhere. Surveys are different. Surveys, similar to how you would, similar to programs like Typeform or Jotform, surveys, you can create a fully fledged survey. It can be an entire page, entire page survey where you can build it to be as complex as you want, with conditional logic and the rest of it that you can build into it. And then finally, you've got here the chat widget, which you can set. You can set the chat widget, and you could add all of your media here as well. This goes back to your media library, and in the settings, you can have all of your media there. So in terms of adding the domain, so how you do a domain? First of all, you'd go into the settings and domains. You can also find it when you're in sites. If you click on settings, it will take you straight to domains. You can then add a domain here. You put the domain URL. You don't need to put www, just the main URL. So let's see here, I'm going to put a URL here. You can also select if you also want to add the www part. Yes, I recommend doing that. It will set up your domain. It will find the provider details. So if you're using GoDaddy or Namecheap or any of these different providers, it will let you know. So here we're using Cloudflare. So I recommend using Cloudflare. You can find tutorials on how to set up Cloudflare very easily on YouTube. You then just need to authorize the domain. What that will do is it will take you straight into Cloudflare, and you can then authorize the DNS records. All you do is you just click authorize. You're just typing the domain to confirm, or you just click authorize and delete any conflicts, and then that will update it. So once it's retrieved the DNS records, it will know. We will then show you here. If you need any help, you can watch the help video here, and it will show you how to then connect it up. But it's very straightforward. All you need to do is go into your DNS settings for whichever domain provider you're with. So in this example, I'm going to get it for Namecheap. But for instance, here we then add the new record. If we go back to here, it's an A record and a CLAM record. So if we add an A record, we put the host in, and we put the value or the target required field. We put that in, and then we just, usually the TTL, this is usually the time, is usually automatic. You just save the changes there, and you can add another record. Last thing will be a CNAME record. When you click on verify records. Okay, now the domain has been successfully added. You can then add it to any of the funnels. And you can also select a default 404 error page. Usually I recommend either having it to redirect to the home page, or you can create a dedicated 404 page as you like. So you have to link it to one of your funnels to be able to link the domain, or you can just link it later on. Okay, so now we've got our domain. Let's get back to actually making our funnel or website. Okay, so now let's create a funnel. So depending on the business, there's different types of funnels that you want to create. And the funnel is actually very important, the type of funnel that you'd create. Really here, the key is to think about the customer journey. So for instance, you've got a webinar funnel. If it's a information product, you've got a VSL funnel with your sales data funnel. You've got a lead magnet funnel. You've got an appointment booking funnel. There's so many different types of funnels that you can build, and you can make it as simple or as complex as you want. Usually I recommend to simplify as much as possible, to simplify the number of steps, reduce the number of steps as much as possible. The more steps you have, the more likely you are to lose the customer. Now, on here, there are a number of different templates you can use. So if you go on add a new funnel, you can choose from the different templates that are available, and you can select from your industry. Depending on what your industry is, you can select the industry, you can select the type of follow, and you can also select here by using some of these tags. You can also search for certain types that might come up. So as an example here, let's say we're in the automotive industry and we want to create a follow for our business. Let's say we're a car detailing service. I'm just going to select that. And here it will explain about that specific template, and it will show you the pages that you're going to get with this particular example. Right, so we can then click continue and it will upload the funnel straight in. Right, so now we've got our funnel here ready for our car detailing business. So let's jump straight in and have a look at this page. You can edit the page here. So if we click on that, it will take us to the editor. The page editor works like any other page editor. If you're familiar with WordPress or Shopify or ClickFunnels or Elementor, any of these types of page builders, it works exactly the same way. And basically, you can edit everything in here. You can put in a logo here, logo image. You can select the image here. You can change the size. It's very easy to use. It's a drag and drop editor. I'm just going to show a few of the features here now. You can set here a menu, navigation menu. You can set the other pages. Now, usually for a follow, you wouldn't have a navigation page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this navigation. I'm going to delete this element here. You can basically have this. And what you can do here is we're going to center this logo. We're going to change this up and have another logo in here, right? So you can select, you can upload any image and you can put that image here. Now, every single image that you upload, any image that you upload will have a URL. Okay, so now we've just uploaded an image here. Now, when you click on this image, you can see here this copy to clipboard. This will copy the URL of that image. Then you can put that URL anywhere you like, or you can double click on the image and it will automatically put it in the place that you need. We can change the size if that's a bit too big, 150, maybe less. We can change the size very easily here. Usually in a follow, you want to focus the attention of visitor, the potential client, on one action. So in this case, for a car detailing business, we want to get somebody to book an appointment to get their car detailed. So we've got a call to action here. Now, I can already see this particular page. It's going to be better to have this call to action a lot more clear, a lot more apparent. Maybe this image needs changing. Let's see if we can find an image. You can either have a video there. So let's say here we can go to Unsplash or Pixabay, or we can search for images, let's say for a car with the nice Mercedes there. Right, that button is obviously not very clear. So what we can do is we can change everything about the button. We can center it, or we can keep it in the same position. We can change the color of the text. We could change the background. So let's say we went here, the background color at the moment is transparent. Let's say we wanted to make it very clear. Put a nice blue color on it. So usually you want to use a color that stands out and gets a person to easily know where they need to go, right? So get an appointment there. And we can change and edit any of these parts here very easily. We can recreate all of the different aspects of this. Okay. Even here on the map, we can We can set the actual location of the business. We can save a specific location. And there's all sorts of elements that we can add here. If we're going to add any type of element, text element, forms. So the forms that we build, we can add them in here. Blog posts, we can add any types of media, image, slider, video, image, FAQ. We can also add custom stuff here. The survey, we can add the calendar, reviews, the map, the code. If we add in HTML code, we can do that countdown timer, any sorts of blocks, and then we can add in the checkout features here as well. We can also navigate to other pages in the funnel very easily without having to go back. You can just navigate straight to these other pages. You can also look at the mobile version as well. You can edit the mobile version so that it's mobile optimized. And in here, in terms of, you've got layers. So if you wanted to select any part of the website, you can do so here very easily. That will allow you to select any specific part of the web page. Here you can navigate to the pages. Here you can put any tracking codes. Usually I don't recommend putting tracking codes here. What I usually recommend is using Google Tag Manager, which I talk about in a separate course. I'll have to use Tag Manager, but if you prefer to put your tracking codes here, you can put any of your header or footer tracking codes here. If you're going to add the web chart, you do need to actually put it onto here, but you can also use Tag Manager as well. You can set the typography, the font, and the text color and the link colors. If you wanted to add a background image or a certain background color, you can do so. That'll be the default, and then you can override it with any of the sections. And if you wanted to have a pop-up, let's say, for instance, if somebody clicks on this button, have a pop-up open, and then you can have a form where the person can then schedule an appointment. So you can do that very easily by setting the button action. The button action can be anything from these different options you have here. And for instance, if we want it to open up the pop-up, we just select that as the action. And then that will open up the pop-up. And then what we can do is when in the pop-up, we can add an element here. We can add a form here. We add a form, and we select from the forms. So we can go and create a form. I've just selected a template form here. There we go. There's a form there. Now we can create any type of form and then upload it onto here. So it is very powerful. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and it's very straightforward and very easy to use as well. Final thing is SEO metadata. So the title of the page, description, any keywords, any sort of image that you want to have here, and any meta types, you can set all of that up here. If you really want to get very technical, you can preview any custom codes. And then don't forget to save the page as well. And then you can preview, and you can also see previous versions. So if you wanted to go back to a previous version, you can do by clicking on versions. Now it'll open up any previous versions that have been saved. So a few important things as well in terms of the settings. Okay, first of all, in terms of the funnel steps, you can change these funnel steps however you like. You can name. In order to actually use the funnel, we actually need to connect the domain. Please add the domain here. So all we need to do is go on the settings, and then here under domain, we can add the domain in that we added in the previous video. You can also add another domain or edit the domains by clicking there. Now we've got a domain here ready. We're going to just connect that domain up, and we can name this funnel. We can change the main path. This is the funnel path. So if anybody goes to this funnel path, they will start at the top funnel. If you want to have a favicon, this is the icon that's shown on the browser. This is where you put the head tracking code and the body tracking code. The most important thing that you're going to probably need here is the Google Tag Manager code to copy in, and you can add any other type of tracking code that you need in there, and that will apply to the entire funnel. If you wanted to do test any payments, you can set it to test mode. Always remember to set it back to live mode when you're ready to launch. You can also disable or enable image optimization as you see fit. So let's say, for instance, we're going to make a checkout page now. I'm just going to show how easy it is to create a checkout page. We can name here checkout page. Let's say the path is just checkout. You can also import a ClickFunnels URL. So if you've got a checkout page or any page from ClickFunnels, you can copy the URL and it will import all of the data from the ClickFunnels page. You can also use an existing template. So for instance, if you've already made a web page and you just want to use that exact same format, you can just copy the entire page. So you select from your funnels here. I'm going to use select a funnel step. In this case, we're just going to use a blank start from scratch just to show how easy it is to use. Now we've created our checkout page. I'm just going to show a couple of things here just to speed up the process. Now, let's say we don't want to keep recreating the top header or recreating the footer. We can save the header or footer as a global element. That global element can then be found anywhere else where we had anywhere else with page. So all we do is here, let's say this top part here, we want to save it and use it somewhere else. Now we can either save it as a template or as a global section. Now the difference is a template means that if you edit it, it will not impact anywhere else where that template is. A global section, however, if you edit it on any page, it will update the rest of the pages where that global section is. So this is useful if, for instance, you've got a universal header that you want across all of your follows and you want it to be the same all the time. You'd basically save it as a global section. That means that if you ever need to update it, it will update across all of the pages. Okay, so here, because it's a header, let's save it as a global section. We're going to call it follow header. We're going to save that. Now, when I go to the checkout page, I always remember to save. Once it saves, it will allow me to go to the checkout page. Now, when I go to the checkout page, I can see here the global sections and the section templates. So obviously, we've saved global section, the funnel header. We can just pop it in there, and there we go. We've got the funnel header. We can then add other sections. We can add a new section here. We can add a column. Let's say it's a split column. And we can add any type of element. So let's say we're going to add a checkout page or a checkout element here. It can be a one-step or a two-step. Depending on the type of product and service, you would use a different, be recommended. Sometimes it's good to split test, between a two-step and a one-step, or any type of change that you want to do on the website, you can split test. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So let's say we're going to add a one-step order form. We can maybe edit any of these pieces of information. Let's say we don't need a shipping. We can hide the shipping. We can change any of these elements as well. We can enable cart mode. So cart mode basically means you can select multiple options at the same time. If you've only got one product that you want the customer to select from, then you want to disable this. Okay, you can select if you want to enable coupon codes or not. And then, okay, so we've got that. We can add an element here. Let's say we wanted to add a headline. Right. We can add an image. An image slider. Multiple images there. And here we can just add each image. So here we can select for each image what the image is. So for slide 1, we can select here the image. And we can just select a new image here. Let's say we're going to have a car. Okay, so now we've got our checkout page ready. We're going to save that. We're going to put a title here. It's always good practice to put the name of the company and then followed by the page. And then you can put the description, keywords, things like that. So that your checkout page is finished, you need to now attach your product to that checkout page. So that's very easy. Just go to products and you add your product here. So you can select from the products that you've made earlier, or you can create a new product by clicking here and it'll take you straight back into products. You create the product. Let's say here we're going to do car detailing service. We're going to put the pricing here. Let's say we have different pricing options for our car detailing. Let's say it's a full full detailing. It's a one-time payment, and we're going to charge, say it's £5,000 for that. Now here, so for this, it's the currency is GBP. Now, depending on what you've set in your business profile as the location, that will be the currency that will be charged. So you can change the location; it will change the currency for that product. Now, after you've made the product, it will save it as GBP. Then you can create a separate product, which could be in USD. That's completely up to you how you want to do that. So we can, let's say, create product. Now we've got our product ready. Now we can go back to the checkout page. Now we're back to the checkout page. We go on product. We have the product. And because we've saved that now, car detailing service, it's there. It'll ask us for the pricing option. We've got the full detailing option. And we can add any other additions here. We can save that now. And we've got our product on there. Now you need to obviously connect up Stripe before Stripe and PayPal, or just Stripe, or any of the payment processes before you can actually start setting that. Now, if you wanted to view the checkout page, there we go. Checkout page is there. You can select the car detailing. Once you've selected the payment details, it will show up here. We've got our image slider there. So once you've collected the domain, you can then do a split test. Now you can either duplicate the control page, which is what I would recommend, and then just edit that control page. Or you can use another template, but obviously the best thing is to duplicate the control page and then edit whatever variation you want to create. And then you can set the split test to start. You can also vary the amount of traffic. So if you wanted to do a 50-50 or a certain different variation of split. Usually I would recommend to start off with to just do a 50-50 and to change only one variable. So for instance, maybe you want to change the call to action button, the positioning of that. You might want to change the headline. You might want to test different positioning of different content. So there's lots of different tests you can do. And then you can see, obviously, the impact of those tests in these stats. So now we have the funnel ready. We've got an example here with the car detailing business. For booking an appointment, we're going to add a form now to capture the potential client's information. Now what we can do is here we can go to forms. We can also build a survey. Survey is a series of steps. But for this example, we'll just use a form to start off with. Then we'll have a look at the survey example in the next video. So if we go into the form builder, similar to the websites and funnels, you can either start from scratch or choose from a template. So we can go into here, choose from a template. There's a wide range of examples here, as you can see. And depending on which industry, you can choose a relevant form. For us, for this example, this is in the automotive. And this looks like a good template. And then we'll take that template and then we'll edit that as we see fit. And continue, and now it's going to add that template in there. Okay, so we've got the form here. Now you can see already they've got certain pieces of information here. Now we can add more fields. So this is what we mean by when we said previously you can create your own fields to capture different pieces of information. You can do that very easily. And you can actually do it from within the forms and the surveys as well. So first of all, if we click on adding an element, we can add the standard fields here. And we can also add what's called the custom field. And we already have these have been set as a custom field. So the make of the card, model, etc. These are actually already set as a custom field. But let's have a look very quickly at the custom fields, what you can actually do with the custom field. So with the custom field, there's different field inputs that you can have. So for instance, if you just wanted a text, you can have a larger text box. If there's a question that needs a lot more information typed up, you can have a text box list. If you're looking to capture a value, a number, or a phone number, or maybe a monetary value. And then you've got these different options as well. If it's a multi-choice, for instance, you've got the drop-down. This is a single choice drop-down. You can have a multiple choice, where you can select multiple options. You can have a radio select. You can have a checkbox and even a date picker. Here, there is also file upload if you're looking to get some files uploaded within the form, and there's also a signature file here as well. So you've got all these different options here when you're creating a custom field. So let's say as an example, let's say to capture the budget as an example. So let's say it's a monetary field here, or we could even do it as a drop down. Okay, let's do it as a drop down single. Let's call it here budget. And then let's put a few options here. Let's say 100 to 500. That's 500 to 1,000. We've typed up a few options here. We can, first of all, set whether it's a field related to the contact or related to opportunity. In this case, it's a contact, and we can also put it under a folder. So group is in reference to the folder. So like I mentioned last time, the custom fields, or all of the fields, you can actually organize them into folders. So for instance, if we wanted to have this as part of a general information or additional information, we could do that and save that. We can always update and change that by going to the custom fields section in the settings. So we're going to save that now, and that is now going to add budget as a custom field. Now we can put that custom field in here, and now we've got that there. We can also change the label, so we can change it to a question, what is your budget? And we can add a placeholder, something like please select on the options. Okay, so all of it is actually can be changed. If you do want to change some of the options, you have to go to custom fields in the settings and then change whatever you need to change from there. It's important that you keep this query key as it is. That can be used as a reference. It's actually important, for instance, when you're passing parameters, which we'll talk about in more advanced section. Best practice to keep this as it is and not change that. You can also set whether it's a required field or not. Okay, so let's now change this up to suit what we are offering here. So let's say here we're going to change the image. We can change this image here. Let's just delete that first of all, and we'll just go back to quick add here. Let's add an image. Let's pick a file. Let's pick an image here. Okay, so we're just going to grab an image. Let's kind of put that image for us in there. And there we go. We've got an image there. Book your car detailing service. We're going to capture their customer information. Now we can make any of these required or not. So just a point here about hidden fields. This can be handy when you are, for instance, capturing information from a previous page and you don't need the customer to actually fill it in. It will automatically be filled in. This is more advanced, so you don't need to worry about it for now, but we'll talk about it in more advanced use cases. So first name, let's say, is required, last name required, email, phone number. You always want to capture the email, phone number. That's usually the best point of contact with any potential client. And then here we've got some vehicle information. Maybe we put the make and model first. I mean the year. You can just move these around. The make first, the model, the year of vehicle manufacture. Okay, we don't need to ask what service. We can ask them what the budget is and any additional information. Now, obviously, we can add more questions as we see fit, and then we can change this the final call to action button. So now we can say book now, and we can change any of this as we see fit here. So now we're going to save that. Another important thing here, when you click on the styles and options, this will give us the general style of the entire form, which we can edit here, and we can add some custom CSS. So if you want to do even more advanced edits of the form, we can do that using custom CSS, and we can actually also add in HTML. So if you're wanting to add even more functionality, take it to another level, we can add HTML, but this is more advanced. Okay, so just another point here in the options. You want to make notes of the form name. That's important because whenever you want to select the form, it'll be in reference to the name. So let's call this one car detailing booking fog. Okay, now on submit, you want to either set it to open a URL or a message. Now you can either copy in the URL of the next step in the funnel, or you can leave it blank. Now, I always recommend that you have it just in case. You have it here as the URL of the next funnel step. You don't need to, and I'll explain why you don't actually need to fill the same. The next thing is you've got your Facebook pixel IDs. So if you wanted to count conversions, you can do, and it will fire on, it will send whatever you'd like it to send. So if you want it to be a page view when it first opens, it can be a page view, or you can set it as any other action, maybe view content, depending on how you see it. But usually page view is fine. And then on form submission, you can have it as submit application, where you can have it as a lead, or complete registration, depending on what conversion action you're monitoring. It's always, I think, based on my experience on Facebook, it's better to have only a select few number of conversion actions. If you start having too many and you're hyper segmenting, you're going to have less data, right? And it's better to concentrate everything into one action. If it's a lead, that's it. Across the board, have it as a lead. Doesn't matter what form they fill in, whatever, it's a lead, right? Unless your use case is different. There are some special cases, but from a general point of view, it's always best to have it as one specific conversion action that then applies across the board. Just to reiterate, the reason for that is so that obviously the pixel optimizes based on the volume of data. The more data you give it, the more it's optimized, the more it knows what type of person to look for when using that conversion action. So it's best to have that volume go into one conversion action. Now we've got our form. We know how to build a form. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go back into the funnel, and we're going to add that form to the funnel. Let's just edit that in a new tab. Okay, now we're inside the first funnel page. What we're going to do is we're going to add the form to the page. Now, we said that when somebody clicks this call to action button, let's change that to book an appointment. Or actually, the less words you have, the better, usually. Right? You can test this, obviously, but I'm just going to say book now. Right, book now. Okay, so when they click on book now, what is the action? Open pop-up. We've already set that action. Let's now go to the pop-up. Right, we've put this form in. Let's delete that. Let's add an element. Let's add the form in. Let's put the form in here. Let's select the form car detail and booking form. Now that is on the page. Very nice. So we've got the page. We've got that on there. And we can now close that and save it. Put a title for the page. Let's put that there. Let's save that as well. Okay, now what we can do is we can duplicate that button and then put it, you can just drag that down. Okay, so now we put the button down here. It's ready. Let's now save this. Very important point here. We haven't set what happens when the form submits. Now, that's why I said earlier, sometimes it's good to put the URL and set the action inside the form. However, what you can do is, and that's just in case you forget, what you can do is here, you can set the redirect action. So you can use the action from the form builder. So that will just use whatever the action you've set in inside the form. Or you can say, go to website you're on or go to the next step. So in this case, it's going to be go to the next step. So you're going to save that. And now when somebody completes the form, they're going to go to the next step in the follow. Now, sometimes it is better to control the action in here, especially if you're doing split tests. So if you want to direct somebody to a different page and it's the exact same form, so you're split testing a different follow-on page, then you want to set that here and you want to set it to two different URLs in case. So now that is saved, let's go back. So the good thing as well is with this builder is that you can navigate to the following pages without having to go back. So now we can go to the next page, the appointment booking page. So we've got this is the next page. So on here, on this template example, we've got a checkout here. So we don't want a checkout, we want an actual booking calendar, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this, and let's also delete this section, and let's add the global section that we have for the funnel header. We can also add a global section for the footer. Let's say this here, we're going to change. We're going to add the logo, take that down to 100, and copyright 2024. And actually we can save this now. I'll put it on the other pages. We can save it as a global section. Follow footer, global section, let's save that. Now let's add in an element. Now we want to add in a calendar, okay? So we can add the calendar in here. Now, before we can add a calendar, we need to actually create a calendar for this. So we're going to now go and create a calendar and then come back in here and input that calendar. So I'll just do that very quickly. Let's save. Let's go and create the calendar. Go to calendar settings here. And we're going to create a calendar. So it's a round robin calendar. And we're going to call it car detailing. In fact, because this is slightly different, let's put it as a simple calendar. So there's not necessarily anyone in particular is going to be assigned to it. Car detailing appointment. Okay, now if you do want to assign, let's say you've got mechanics there who are going to be doing it, you can use the round robin system. I mean, you can get your mechanics booked in. Okay, so let's see here now, detailing. You can set the times. We can put a location here. Let's in the location of the garage. We can confirm. There's also more advanced stuff we can set, as we've seen in the calendar video. You can refer back to that if you need to. So now we've got the name of the calendar, car detailing appointment. Let's get back to the funnel. So we're back into the funnel. Let's just refresh the page. Okay, so now we're going to add the calendar in. I'm going to select from the calendars, car detailing appointment is there. And there we go. We've got the calendar ready there. Now, then you want to change the width here. Then you want to put this headline at the top and delete this. So what we can do is very quickly, let's create another column. Let's put the calendar in that column. You can go like that. You can also use the arrows up and down, makes it very easy to use as well. There's a car detailing. Let's change the padding a bit. And there we go. Now we've got the calendar there. Now we can change everything about the look and feel of the calendar using CSS. But for now, we've got our page ready there. And now they can book an appointment for their car detailing. Let's save that. This is our next step in the funnel. Let's check that the mobile version is good as well. Yep, that looks fine. And let's have a look. What's the next page? The thank you page. So okay, thank you page here. Thank you for booking your appointment. And like we said last time, we're going to delete this, delete the header and footer. We're going to put the global section in. We're going to put the funnel footer here. I'm going to put the funnel header in as well. All right, perfect. There we go. And we can also create a global section here with the company information, and then we can save that and have that on all the pages as we've seen. So really easy to use. Just a matter of going in and playing around with it. Put this here. Thank you page. Okay, great. Well, now we've got a full funnel ready. Now we are ready to promote this funnel, and we can start sending traffic straight to this home page here. Just a couple of quick general notes here. This is the funnel URL. When you click on the settings bottom here, this is the split test page URL. So you can see there page is added on top. You can change this if you wanted to have it, for instance, called version 1, or we'll call it something else. And same here, there's a different URL here. Page, there's a number there. Just an important one. You want to send traffic to this URL, right? So you send them to this URL, it will split the traffic according to what percentage, or the traffic distribution here. And then the same thing applies here. Whenever it goes to the next step, it's going to go to this URL, and then this is the split test. This would be the split test URL once you've created a variation. Perfect. Once you start getting traffic, you'll see all the stats in here. Okay, just very quickly, let's just have a look at the website. Now, as I said, the website is very similar to the funnel, with some slight differences. Some people like to separate websites from funnels. Usually the website would be, your standard website homepage with About Us page and all these other pages. And then your funnels would be your various different funnels. So for your website here, let's say we're going to create a new website. We can also choose from the templates. So let's say we're going to choose a template here. So you can choose any random one here for now. Car sales one. Okay, so now we have all of the pages similar to funnels. It's pretty much exactly the same. There's only a few slight differences, which I'll mention here. So as you can see, first of all, the pages are not arranged according to funnel steps. There's just basically all of your pages are going to be here. You're going to need to link it up. So whatever somebody clicks on a particular page, you then need to define which page would it then go to. You can also here in the settings see what the URL path is, change the name of that page. You can then edit the page. And very similar to funnels, if you click on settings here, you can define what the name of the website is, the main path. You can add a favicon here. You can select the domain, of course, and you've got your tracking codes here. You can also convert it to a funnel. So what it will do is it will take all of those pages and put them into steps. Okay, so that's really websites, pretty much the same as funnels. You can also add a redirect. So let's say for a particular domain, particular path, you can then redirect it to a different URL. Sometimes you might want to do that I've seen a few different use cases for it. If somebody already has a page and they don't want to transfer it and they are sending traffic to a certain URL and they want to take it to that previous one, then they might use this method of redirect. And it's not really used that often, but you've got it there as an option. If you are looking to add in blogs, you can do so very easily here. You can either add blogs as a page, just have links going to those pages, or you can use this blogs system here as well. You can create a blog post. You can put the title of the blog post, the post description, a cover image. You can select from the images here. Again, you can go to Unsplash. You can use the images. And will create the blog post for you. You can basically edit the blog post here. It's really easy to use, similar to Google Docs. You can then edit the text however you like, add images, add videos, and the rest of it. And then once you're ready, you can then continue. You can add a category, you can add keywords, etc. You can then save that, you can publish it, you can schedule and publish. So you can create different categories for each of your blog posts. You can edit the URL slug here. You can also change here some of the details if you need to. So I need to create a new category. You have a category labeled and then a slug for that category, and then you save and create. Really easy. Then later on, once you've created your blog post, you can then find that blog post when you go into your website or your funnel. There is an option to add in a blog post. So you can either add in a specific blog post to a page and then it will just automatically populate that blog post, or you can also add in an navigation to your blog posts. So if you wanted to add that on your home page, for instance, and there's just an option, it's just an element you need to add into the page. Okay, so the next section is surveys. So surveys are very useful for capturing information. You can think of surveys also like quizzes. So you can also segment potential clients and leads. And you can also direct your clients and leads to different landing pages based on how they respond to your survey. You can qualify and disqualify potential leads. There's a lot of things you could do with surveys. And it's very powerful marketing tool that can then help you in terms of following up with the right leads, knowing how to follow up with them, having information before you actually contact them. Now, again, similar to forms and websites and funnels, you can also start from scratch or choose from a template. Okay, now we're in the survey. So as you can see here, you've got slides. So the way the survey is and how it's different from the forms, first of all, is there's multiple slides that you would have for the survey, similar to how Jotform or Typeform, if you're familiar with these form builders, work. And usually you end up with a higher response rate if you have a question on each slide. So let's say here we're going to have a few slides. Similar to forms, we can add in standard fields. So let's say the first slide, we're going to ask for their name. Now, the good thing as well is you can actually add 2 or 3 questions in one slide, which you can't actually do on some other form builders. So you can either put one question on a slide, you can put multiple questions on a slide. So let's say if it's the contact information, usually I like to put these on one slide as opposed to adding them on separate slides. Okay, let's add some more questions in here. Let's create a custom question. So let's say here we're going to put the make as a question. Let's say the make and model, we're going to put the bit on one slide there. And then we're going to ask here, year of vehicle manufacture. And then let's say here, let's say we add a question here on budget. Now, let's say we're going to add in a bit of conditional logic to this. So let's say based on what they put for their budget, you ask them a different question or you take them to a different slide. What you can do here is you can set the logic here. So depending on how they answer the question, right? And obviously the conditional logic only works for selection questions, right? So just bear that in mind. Obviously for a question where somebody types in, you can't really set a conditional logic. Now here, let's say if they select 100 to 500, you can then take them to a different slide. Let's say here we're going to add a few other slides here, slide 5, 6, 7, okay? So let's say here, if they answer 100 to 500, we're going to take them to slide 5. If they answer 500 to 1000, we're going to take them to slide 6, right? Or let's say if it's 100 to 500, you're actually going to disqualify immediately. Now, if you disqualify immediately, that means the survey will just end there, or you can disqualify after submission. So then you capture their information, but you disqualify after they submit the rest of the form. And then you can set this one to another slide. Let's say it goes to slide 6, this one will go to slide 6. And then you can set some more questions in here as you see fit. I'm just going to put a few different random questions here. Additional information. And then let's say here finally, putting in contact details, email, form number. You can also add this, I agree to terms and conditions. You can change the wording of this. You can change the link here so that you can link this up to your terms and conditions page. You can also add in a captcha to prevent unsolicited responses. Okay, let's save that now. Let's preview this page. Now, before we do that, we can also change here any of these settings. We can set previous text and next text, submit text here. We can add in custom CSS. So this is if we really want to style it up. There is actually CSS code that you can use to make it exactly the same as a type form style or a job form style. And we will be providing some of this custom CSS in more advanced sections of this course. Okay, and again, we go into the options. We can name this survey. Right, it's always important to use a consistent naming convention so that it's easy for you to find these forms later on when you want to embed them or you want to reference them. As what you're going to notice is there's going to be a lot of referencing, especially when you use automations. So for instance, if you want to set an automation and somebody completes this specific survey, you might want to do a certain action. You might want to tag them, etc. We'll talk about that in the automation section. But it's always very important that you use a consistent naming convention so that you know what you're referring to whenever you need to refer to a particular form or a survey or a calendar. Okay, so carve detailing survey. On submit, again, we can either have a message or we can send them to another URL. We might send them to a follow-on page, etc. Now, what we can do is we can set the URL that anybody who's qualified goes to, and we can also set a different action for those who are disqualified. So if they're disqualified immediately, you might send them to a certain URL, or if they're disqualified after submission, you can do a certain, you either send them a different message or send them to a URL. Again, we can also put in the Facebook pixel ID and the events, and then you have here the survey settings. So you can set a few key things here, one question at a time or not. Sticky contact. This means that if we already have information about that contact from a previous page they visited, it will automatically populate that. Usually I would have this on. So automatically, when somebody answers a question, it will auto-navigate, unless it's a typing in question, of course. But if it's not, as soon as they answer the question, it will auto-move to the next page. You can disable that if you want. You can disable animation if you want as one. And you can set any of these other parameters here. You can also add in HTML to the footer. You can edit the footer here, and you can add custom JavaScript or HTML if you want to add more functionality. Here are the sky's the limit with what you can do with that. Right, let's save this. Let's preview. Okay, there we go. We've got our survey there ready. Now, obviously, you can really style this however you want, and there's some, incredibly designed surveys that we've made on here with a bit of custom CSS. You can make it really slick. Okay, now we can add in a chat widget. So the chat widget, we can set the intro message here. We can have a certain image. We can have a greeting for return visitors if we want to have that. So this, as soon as somebody lands on the page, we can have this pop up here. Or we can disable that and just have this button there when somebody comes onto the page. We can also change the style on this widget. We can set the language here as well. And then we can set here acknowledgement settings, etc. And then we can save that once we're happy with that. Now, all we need to do to have this on our website, we can have it on our WordPress site using a WordPress plugin, or we can put it onto our site here on the Elite Business Suite by getting the code. We can install that code using Tag Manager, which is, if you're familiar with Tag Manager, that is the best approach. Any code that you want to add to the website, it's always best to do it through Tag Manager, just to keep everything clean and concise in there. Or if you want to just add it straight into the website, you can do by the code here. So you can just copy the code and you just need to put that into the body or the footer section of the website. So we're going to copy that here and we're just going to put that into the website now. So let's say we're going to put it into the funnel. And we're going to put it into the funnel that we just made. We're just going to do that now. Now, if we want it to appear on all the pages, then what we do is we go to the settings. This is the settings of the entire funnel, and we paste the code here. So what that will do is that will then put the chat widget on all the pages in the funnel. So you save that now. When we go to that page, we preview, click here, preview page. That's going to open up the preview for us. Okay, so now we've opened up the page. As you can see here, the chat widget is there, and it's got the question there already. It says we've just seen we can edit any of these fields, and then that's on the website there. We can see the book now, etc. If you want the chat widget to only be shown on a specific page, then what you need to do is you remove it from here, and you need to go to the actual page that you want to put it in. Let's say you're going to put it into this page. All you need to do to put it onto the page is go into the tracking code here, go into the footer tracking, and just put that on there. Let's save that. And as you can see there, now it's showing on that page. And if we go back to the home page, okay, and we can now just double check by going to the home page. Okay, so on the home page now, the chat widget is not showing, and on the thank you page, it's showing there. Okay, so now in this video, we're going to talk about memberships. Now, memberships is where you can house all of your digital products, so your courses and any other digital material that you'd like to give to your customers. And as I've mentioned previously as well, if, for instance, you've got certain tutorial or training, even if you're selling a physical product, you might have additional materials that you'd like to give your customer. It's also an area where you can have that on there. And you can also have communities and groups, which we'll go into in a moment. So we start off here with the first part where we're in the dashboard here, and we can go into products. And this is where we can define our digital products. We can create a new product. We can select from these options here. It could be a course, and it could be a membership, or you can just build your own custom one. So let's say we're going to just build a custom one. We can name the product. And this is really like any of the other course builder softwares out there like Teachable or Kajabi, even ClickFunnels and the rest of it. So here you can house all of your courses. You can set the structure here so you can create different categories. If you wanted to have different sections or different modules, you can do that. And you can create underneath each category, you can create subsections or lessons depending on what you're offering. So you can edit that category there. You can have a thumbnail for the category, and you can set a description. And then underneath the category, you can have the actual sections or the lessons. Inside, you can have, you can upload in a video. You can have a thumbnail for that lesson or that subsection. You can add files. You can add any type of file. You can attach PDF, etc. You can have it here. This would be the title. This would be the category. And then you can add here a description underneath or text, depending on what you have to offer. Okay. On the details, you can set the details for the course, the title, the description, a thumbnail here. You can also have an instructor details. You can have a favicon image, etc. I mean, you can also do some advanced stuff here if you want to put some custom JavaScript, CSS, and any tracking codes. You can also customize the style. So this is what the customer will see. So whenever somebody signs up to your membership, or whenever you offer the membership as part of a product, they will then be sent an email where they will be able to log into their own portal, and it will look something like this. Like any of these options, they'll be able to log in there and then see whatever materials you have in there. Okay. And you can also set comments here. Offers we'll go into in a moment. You can set if comments are private or not. You can also see what the comments are. Now, if you want to sell these courses separately, then you can create an offer here, put a title for this offer. Now, you need to create an offer so that it shows up when you're creating a product. So if you remember, when you create a product, you can attach a membership to it. In order to attach a membership to it, you need to create an offer. That's very important that you do that. You select what the products are. So what digital products are going to be under that offer. You set a pricing name. Now, the price that you set here would not be reflected when you add it to a product, right? So whenever you add it to a product, whatever the price of that product is, that's it. Basically, you're saying they get this for free when they purchase the product. This price will only be shown for people when you create a checkout using just this product. So here we can only set free because we haven't yet connected Stripe. But once you've connected Stripe, you can then set a price. Okay, then you can have a test mode or live. Then you can create that offer. Okay, so once you've set up Stripe, you can then set up the pricing, one-time payment or recurring subscription, and then you can add your other digital products under this one offer. You can have an upsell here. So this, when we say an upsell, this is if you're gonna actually just sell this training bundle, just sell the digital product, right? So just an important distinction here. And this is what the checkout will look like. So they just need to put their email and a name and proceed to checkout. Obviously, this is for free, so it won't show here the payment information. But once we've connected the payment information, then it will allow for taking the payments. And then you also have here the analytics where you can see course progress, who's actually done any of the course material. Okay, and you can also set the general settings. So this basically controls the settings of your membership portal. You can set the title, set the site URL. So in order to set the site URL, you need to first of all click on domain setup, and then you can have your custom domain. So you can basically create a custom domain. I mean, all you need to do is just update the DNS records for your custom domain. Usually you'd use something like, app or course dot whatever your domain is, domain name .com, and then you just need to update that domain with these two records. And you just need to validate that using then that becomes the domain for the portal where your membership basically lives. You can also set the emails. So as soon as somebody signs up to the membership, or as soon as you give them access to the membership through buying one of your products, then you can send them a welcome email. You can choose the default welcome template, or you can create your own template. So we'll go through how to create a template in the marketing section. And then once you've created a template, then you can have that template in here, and you can have a template for your welcome email if you wanted to use a drip method. So if you wanted to release your courses or your material over a period of time, let's say you wanted to, every week, you're going to send the new material so that they don't get access immediately to everything. They get access on a weekly basis. You can set that in the settings of the product, and then you can have an email here that updates as soon as something new or a new module or material is ready for them. It will send them an email. Okay, next we've got groups. So you can actually create your own group here. So you can click on create group. You can set a name for that group. You can have a group URL here. You can set a brief description. You can change the colors here, and then you can create a group. So let's say we're going to create a group here for Okay, we're just going to create a group here. Okay, the group here, it acts very similar to Slack. So you can add a channel here, but say a channel, new canals. You can put a description, you can select an icon for it, and you can have multiple different channels here. And you can send different posts and people can start commenting and sharing information. So here you've got the discussion, and here you can invite members to the group. You can put their name and email here, and then you can send them in. You can also have them as admins in the group as well. So this is really good for engaging with your customers and clients and keeping up the conversation. So this is one method you could use as well, having this community. You can have multiple different groups, and you can basically navigate through your different groups here. So you can have different private groups, etc. So you can actually also create a group to communicate with your team. So you no longer need to use Slack. For instance, you can have a group just for your internal team, and you can start communicating on there. Okay, the next area, we've got reputation here. So this is where you can, first of all, get a snapshot of how your reviews are doing on Google. And also if you connect to the Yext service, if you activate Yext listings, that will then show you how your reviews are doing across the board, basically across all of the different channels. You can activate Yext here. It is an external service, so you can have a look here if it's something that is beneficial for your business. If you do have a lot of listings across different sites, it can be very beneficial to use that. It depends on the business. Okay, but obviously with here you can connect to Google and you can send review requests, but via SMS or email to a particular contact. You can then obviously send a review request. I will automatically send them a message asking them, would you recommend us? Or thanks for using our service. Would you like to recommend us? You can also edit the message in the settings here. You can edit exactly what the message says when it's sent, either via SMS or email. You can change that. You can change the whole messaging here. So as you can see, a thank you for business. You can change any of this message. And then here you can also see all of your reviews. Once you link to Google My Business, then you'll be able to see all of the reviews here on one dashboard. Obviously, the good thing about that is it keeps it front and center. Because as we know, feedback and reviews and reputation is really important for the business and for growing the business. You can also create a widget here. You can have this widget code here. You can add it to your website where people can just add a review, and then you can have all of your previous reviews that you've had on here. Once you've connected your Facebook and Google, it will show up on there. And you can change the appearance here in the settings. You can copy that code in. So you can have this on your website. Again, this helps with social proof, helps with conversion rates, etc. Okay, so now we're on to the reporting. So once you've connected your Google ads, your Facebook ads, you can then see all of the data, Google ads data in here. You can see all of your Facebook ads data in here. You can see all of the metrics in here, and you can see all of your campaigns and what the metrics are here. Now we've got the most important metrics to look at here. You've got your ROI, your revenue, your cost, your CPC, your click-through rate, etc., your cost per lead, depending. You can also edit these columns here. We've got the main ones on there. And you can also have you can look at the other reports. You've got here your revenue, your opportunities won, etc. You can look at the session events. Obviously, once you start getting data, you'll be able to see how powerful this is in terms of reporting and seeing how well the business is doing on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, however you do reporting. Obviously, I do talk a lot more in detail about metrics and being data-driven in the AI Marketing Master course. But as you can see here, you've got everything here in terms of the analytics. We can also have the call reporting. If you're a business that uses calls a lot, you can also see this through here. And obviously, you can use the calling system, and then that allows you to then have everything recorded in one place. You can see how your different agents, your salespeople, your sales team, they've performed, what the average call duration is, etc., etc. And you can see here in more detail, you can have a leaderboard here. You have most won opportunities for your sales team. This can be very good for sales teams here in terms of monitoring their performance and their conversions. And you can see also the performance of your email, your SMS, and how well that's doing, fall metrics, efficiency, etc., etc. This full view is going to allow you to manage better and make decisions. Okay, and then we've got also an appointment report here to see how many appointments have you booked, confirmed, showed. It's really important to get the team trained up and using the system. So whenever an appointment is booked, they are then reporting on if they've showed or not showed, if they've cancelled, etc. It's really important that the team is properly trained up. And we do have additional services where we do help, set up the entire team. If that's something that you need, you can obviously get in contact with us regarding that. Okay, now let's jump into the marketing section. So first of all, you need to connect your different social media channels. So you can connect to Facebook, Instagram, your Google My Business, your LinkedIn, Twitter, or now it's X, and TikTok. So once you've done that, you've connected, now you can schedule posts. You can create a post here. You can select the social media accounts that you'd like to send the posts on. You can then type in the content here, like you would in any social media scheduler. You can put in an image, a video, etc., etc. And you can also just edit it slightly on Facebook and Google if you need to. You can have a follow-up comment. Now, usually it's from best practice to not put links in the main body, but put the link in the follow-up comment, right? So you can do that as well. You can have a follow-up comment. You can select if it's posted on, I think that would be a follow-up comment posted on both of these channels. You can then save for later. You can then schedule the post, send the post for approval, schedule recurring posts, etc., etc. And you can delete however you want. You've basically got this entire planner. You can plan out your entire social media batch. So once you've actually made your social media content, you can then use the planner to keep things organized in here, and then you can collect all your different links there. If you want to send it for approval, you can set a specific email template and you'll send it across for approval before it gets posted. The next thing inside of the marketing section, you've got your emails, your email campaigns. So first of all, this is where you can create an email campaign, basically a broadcast blast email. So for instance, here, if we're going to create a campaign here, we select from the templates. So before you create a campaign, what you want to do is you want to create a template. Now, this is where, as we mentioned last time, if you wanted to use a specific template, you would go in and create a template here. So let's say we're going to create a template. You can use the code editor or the design editor. Design editor is really easy to use if you're not familiar with HTML. And it's a really easy to use drag and drop email builder. Now, the good thing about creating a template is you can actually choose from existing templates, right? So there's even templates for emails. So you can go in here, you can select your category, your particular niche. I'll then select an email. Let's say we're going to continue with our automotive example. I'm going to select an automotive template here. Again, really important to have a good naming convention so that later on in any other area of the software, you can easily select and know which email template to select, right? And we can then edit this email however we like here. So really easy drag and drop. Email builder, we can also add in certain elements here. So when we click on the text, we can add in custom values. So we can add in the contact information. We can add in user information here. We can even add in, let's say their membership information here, the login URL, the email, and the password that they get. So what we mentioned previously in the membership section, if you want to create your own template for what gets sent, you can create that template here, and you can put their username and password and the login URL for the membership section in here, and put their affiliate link here and the link to the affiliate portal, which we'll talk about in a moment. The affiliate part of that, you can create a template for the email that goes out to your affiliates when they sign up. There's also here Shopify. If you connect to Shopify, you can also have There's some of your fields here. And once you've created the template in the settings, you want to set the from name from email. It will do that by default. It will just send it to the one that you have saved in your business profile. Otherwise, if you want to set a different one, you can do so there. And you can put the email subject line here for this template. The email builder is very similar to the funnel or website builder. It's basically a drag and drop, and you can add in any of these elements here, the layouts. So you've got the full flexibility of building whatever you want to build in here using the drag and drop. You don't even need to use any code. You're going to save that template now, and now we've got the template. Now we can use that email template in multiple places across the software, and we can also create a campaign. Let's say we're going to do a full blast email. We can use that template here, and we can send or schedule that email to be sent out to our contacts. We can schedule it at a certain time. We can batch schedule, right? We can RSS schedule. Okay, we can set here who receives the email based on a smart list or based on the tags, and then we can send that across or schedule it in. We can also add templates here for text messages, and then we can use these templates again in various different places. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is trigger links, which can be very useful. Now, trigger links, these can be used inside of your emails. So we'll see later on in the automation how we can use these. But as an example, if, for instance, there is a particular URL page that you send traffic to, maybe use it a lot in your emails, like, for instance, let's say a sign-up page or a checkout page or book an appointment page, you can basically have that as a trigger link. You can save it as, let's say here, we're going to have a checkout page. You put the URL in there, and then we save that, and then we can use that trigger link in other areas. Okay, so now we've got that trigger link. And the good thing as well is with this trigger link, if we ever need to update it, we can just update the link URL here, and then we don't have to go into every single email or any other place where we've put that URL. We don't need to go and update it. We just need to update it once here. Okay, so that's trigger links. Now, the final thing here in the marketing is the affiliate manager. So you can have a full affiliate system that you can create inside of the Elite Business Suite. So once you've collected up Stripe, you can then create a new affiliate campaign. You can name it whatever you want to name it. Let's say Firming Course Affiliate Program. Okay, you select the funnel that you want. Okay, so you select whichever funnel. Then you need to select the products for that funnel. And then you can select a commission, either the default commission type, or you can have a different commission based on the product. You need to then add the products. You can then add affiliates in manually. So if you have affiliates ready to sell that or to promote that product for you, you can then add those affiliates in. You just select from the affiliates that you have. Now you do need to add the affiliates in first before you can add them here. And you can do all of this automatically in the automation section, which we're going to go through in the next module. Then you can set the payout frequency in 15, 30 or 60 days. The commission type, is it percentage? You can put the percentage here as a flat commission. Then you can put the amount here. You can even have a second tier commission. So for anybody who then follows on, you can have a second tier commission type. And then this is where you can set the template email. So after you've made a template, you can either use the default system template, or you can create your own template and then send it out. What I would recommend is start off with the default, test it out, see how the default is. If you're happy with the default, keep that. Otherwise, you can then create your own template and then use that after. In terms of the cookie life, have it between 30 and 90 days. So the cookie life basically is the time that a sale would be attributed for the affiliate. So under affiliates, this is where you can manually add a new affiliate. You can put the name, email, etc., and then they will be added to your affiliate. And then here you've got the payouts. So you'll be able to see the commissions that have been made, and then you can then manually pay out. So at the moment, it's all done manually. So you have the full control over the payouts, and you can then, depending on the arrangement with the affiliate, you can then send them a payment. So if you want to have certain media that you want to share with your affiliates, you can have the media here. So anybody who's an affiliate that signs up will get sent their affiliate link, and they'll also get sent a login. So they'll be able to log into their own affiliate portal where they'll be able to see all the links for all the campaigns that they're signed up to. They'll also be able to see the sales, the number of customers they have, and how much commissions they've received. And they can also access any media. And they can also get access to any media files as well. So if you want to have any of your banners or any adverts that they can use, you can add all of the media files in here, and they'll be able to access these media files inside of the affiliate portal. So you can also customize what the titles are for each of the sections inside the portal by putting a custom name here. Okay, so you can, instead of campaigns, you can put it to affiliate links. You can say here, you can keep it as payout, and media, you can just say here, advertising material, for instance. Whatever is suitable for your industry, for your affiliates, so that they understand what it is, what the sections are. All right, in this final section of the full overview of the Elite Business Suite, we're going to go through the automations. This is one of the most powerful features and areas of the entire software. There is so many incredible things we can do with automation. We can actually integrate AI into all of this. We can have so many different actions that can happen. We can have entire conversations that can happen without any human intervention with our customers. Okay, and there's so much scope for scaling using automations. We're going to start from the very basics and build upon that so that we get a full idea of how automations work. So first of all, you can organize your automations into folders just to keep things nice and clean. And we can go into here and create a new workflow. So we can either choose from existing workflows that are ready-made workflows. We do also have templates that we offer for our customers and clients that they can use certain ready-made templates. And we do also have a service where we can help build custom automations based on your specific business needs. Okay, so let's now start from scratch. So as soon as you're inside the builder, it's a very nice sort of canvas builder here. And whenever you think of an automation, you've got to think there needs to be some sort of action that takes place. That's what a trigger is. So trigger is any type of action that takes place that allows the automation to start. So let's have a look at an example here. So for instance, if a customer gets a tag, if a note is added, if a task is added, right? These are the contact-related triggers. If a contact is created, right? If you've just created a contact from one of the forms, right? You could have based on events. So let's say an email event, a customer has replied. Maybe a form has been submitted. Maybe a survey has been submitted. So again, this is why the naming convention is really important. If, for instance, we wanted to have the trigger as form submitted, so somebody went on the website, they submitted a form, and they submitted a specific form, we can select whatever the form is here, and then it will specifically select or leave that form, or we could save that as a trigger. We can have multiple triggers as well in one automation. Okay, other things that we can have, maybe they've clicked a trigger link, right? One of the trigger links that we've mentioned. Maybe they've submitted a Facebook lead form, maybe a TikTok form, right? If we've connected Facebook and TikTok, if we're doing Facebook lead outs or TikTok lead outs, we can then trigger the automation to work as soon as that form is submitted. We can even track the videos, right? So only follow, if you add a video, you can use the hosted service. So there is a hosted service on the Elite Business Suite. You can add the video on there and it can track that video. So let's say you wanted to trigger the automation. If somebody watches up to a certain point, right? If somebody watches at least the first half of your video, you can set that here. You can set the video based on video duration. And you can say, for instance, I want this to trigger if somebody has watched at least 10 minutes of my video, right? Etc., etc. So it's really powerful here in terms of what you can set as the trigger. Let's say you can also here set a trigger based on an appointment booking, based on the opportunities, something exchanged in the opportunity. Maybe they've moved from one pipeline stage to another pipeline stage. Maybe it's to do with them being created as an affiliate, or maybe it's something to do with the membership, right? Maybe they've started a lesson, they've completed a lesson, they've just signed up to the membership. You can set a trigger based on that, based on they've just logged in, right? And the whole point then is to then set one of the actions that you would do afterwards, right? If the user logs in, send them an email or send them a text message saying, thanks for logging in, whatever you might want to mention to them, okay? You can do it based on payments. So if an order has been submitted, if they've now made a purchase, you might want to send them an email saying, thank you for purchasing the product and here's the fulfillment, right? You might even have a fulfillment sequence. If they've paid the invoice, you might want to send a notification to one of the team members saying, right, the invoice has now been paid, follow up with the customer. There's so many different applications of this. And you've also got, if you've connected to Shopify, you can also base the trigger on a Shopify event happening. So the order has been fulfilled or been placed, or even if they've abandoned the checkout, you can then follow up with them through any of the mediums. Now, that is in terms of the triggers. Now, once you've set the trigger, you can then set a certain action, right? So you can set an action. First of all, it could be an action where you change something to do with the contact. Maybe you add a contact tag, you remove a tag, you assign it to a certain user. You can add a notes, add a task, etc., etc. Maybe it's a communication, right? You can send an email, SMS, Slack message. You can call them, right? You can send a voicemail. You can send a Facebook Messenger DM, an Instagram DM. Okay, maybe that's something in Google My Business. So sends a Google My Business message to the contact. So you can set any of the communication actions to take place. You can send a data via webhook. So then if you want to connect to Zapier, you can send it via webhook and then do all sorts of other things there. You can connect it to other softwares and other applications. Really powerful webhooks. We're not going to go through that just yet here. And then you can also do some segmenting, right? If you want to have certain conditions, so you want to segment your contacts that enter the automation. You want to segment them based on certain conditions, you can do that here. If you want to then wait for a bit, you can wait for a certain time before you follow up with them. Whatever it might be, there's so many different applications there. You might want to do a math operation. You might want a certain event start date. It's very, very powerful in terms of what you can do. Now here in this tutorial, we're just showing you the scope of the software or what you can do. In terms of practical applications, we will be in further modules showing how practically it's being used in real life use cases so that you can get your head around the actual application. But really, the options and the possibilities are pretty much endless. So you can actually, here, this is extremely powerful. So let's say you want to use the intelligence of ChatGPT to answer people's queries. You can do this using automation. So what you can do is you can send information to ChatGPT and you can trail up the ChatGPT to your business. So train it up on understanding your business processes and how your business works, and it can then respond to your customer, right? So now you have an entire AI bot here responding to your customer. It will send all of the contact information to ChatGPT. It will then understand the context. It will send the conversation, and it will reply, and you have an entire conversation happening. Now, this is a very advanced topic here, and setting it up is a bit more advanced, but I just wanted to mention the possibilities and the power here of this of the software. Okay, you can also update appointment status. You can update the opportunity, so you can move them across the pipeline automatically. You can also here you send them a one-time charge. You can also here on the marketing, you can send the data to your Google Ads account, so you can send it as a conversion action. So once, for instance, let's say somebody submits a form, you can send a conversion action to Google automatically. You can also do a conversion API connection as well here based on a certain action. And you can even add them to a custom audience on Facebook. That's really powerful as well. And then here, affiliate. So if you wanted to automate the entire affiliate management process, you can do it using automation. So you can automatically add somebody to the affiliate manager. You can add them to an affiliate campaign. You can remove them from that. all using these triggers and actions. And then you can also change what happens when, in terms of their membership. So you can either grant them an offer or revoke their offer. Let's say they cancel their membership or they request a refund. You can then say, if you can set the trigger that a refund was requested, and then you can set the action to be membership is revoked. So many different possibilities there. Okay, so I'm just going to give a very quick example of how we can use this automation. So let's say here we're going to remove this trigger. I'm just going to delete this trigger. Now we're just going to have one trigger here, which is when a form is submitted. We're going to do a few different actions. When the form is submitted, one of the actions, we're going to add a contact tag, right? We're going to add a tag. We're going to say application complete, right? Okay, something like that. We're going to add that tag. Okay, so let's say we're going to add a tag here. Let's say completed. Let's save that action. As soon as they submit the form, it's going to add a contact tag. Let's say we're also going to send them an email. We can send them an email. We can select from the templates. So if we've got a template ready, we can select it. This is why, again, really important to have naming conventions so that you can then easily select from the templates that you've made. Okay. So let's say I'm going to find a template that I already have. If you want to edit that template, you need to go back to that template and edit it. Let's say we're going to use a clean slate. We can then just write the email here. We can use custom values, so we can put their name in. You can say hello, and you've got the contact name, and then you can put in whatever your message is. Let's say you're going to direct them to a particular landing page. You can then basically use trigger links here. So let's say to get or to book an appointment, please click here. Or then we can hyperlink that. You can click hyperlink, and then we can hyperlink using the trigger links. So we can select all of the trigger links here, and then click save, and then that will, whenever they click that, it'll take them to the trigger link, right? We can add an attachment, we can add images, we can edit that however we like. We can put the subject line in here, and then we can set the from name and from email. By default, it will use the system from name and from email. We can save that action there. So we just need a subject line. Now we've got an email. We can also send them an SMS message. Okay, we can send them a text message. Again, we can use any of the fields that we have, any of the contact fields, or any other field that we've created. Save that action there. And let's say we wanted to also assign this to one of our team members to follow up with. We can do that as well. We can go to here and assign to a user. We can then select any of our team members that we've added, right? And it will then assign them to that team member. We can also send a message. We can send a notification to the assigned member. So we can add a task, for instance. We can say follow up with client or lead. Okay, and we can then assign it to one of our team members, and then we can put a due date in here as well. We can save that action. Right, and we can save that action. So add the tag. He's going to send an email. He's going to send an SMS. He's going to assign it to a particular user, and it's going to add a task to the assigned user. Now, what we can do also is we can then, let's say, wait for a certain amount of time. Let's say we're going to wait 24 hours or 1 day. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check, right? We're going to check if they've booked an appointment. So we can do here a condition, and we can name it condition. We can call it condition booked appointment, right? And then we can say yes, they've booked the appointment. So what we can do then is we can set the condition based on a tag. So let's say we've created a tag in another automation. If they've booked, they get a tag booked appointment, right? So we can say here, yes, tag includes booked appointment. Okay. And we should have that tag already, there. Let's say booked sales call, and we save that. Now what we have is the condition is the book day appointment. Yes, then we can do a certain action. If it's the other branch, no, right? Then we could set a different action. We can send a different email, different SMS, different maybe action that we want to do. So this is how powerful this automation is. There's so many different possibilities, and we're going to talk more about the applications in further modules. But now you have a full overview of the power of automation, so you can start playing around with it and using it in your business.